Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Seth Baxter here with Makerspar Studios, looking to create 1 million leaders. Today, as a special guest, we have Amir Alexander Shain, owner and broker with Alexander Lux Properties and Real Estate. We are absolutely pleased to have him here today. Amir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Amir was born and raised in the Los Angeles area and became one of the number one real estate brokers with the Alexander Lux Properties. Am I correct in saying that, Amir?
Yeah, actually, I own the company, so I guess I would be number one in the company. But yeah.
Fantastic. Amir, tell us a little bit about growing up in Los Angeles.
Well, I grew up in a small area, Leimert Park. I was very familiar as historically black neighborhood in Los Angeles. My grandmother, Leona Powell, she owned one of the first black real estate brokerages back in like the 30s or 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually,
that's incredible.
Yeah. So she moved here from Louisiana and relocated from Compton to Leimert Park, started her office there, and, helped many people buy and sell properties. And I came up after my mom, her daughter, and our family was kind of tight knit. We had a bunch of properties in one neighborhood, all close in proximity to each other. But I grew up going to all the schools: 42nd Street School, Audubon Middle School, Crenshaw High School. Some of the toughest schools to grow up in LA, really. And it's the life of LA, a real LA baby. I mean, you can't name three other schools that are more, I guess, in the hood than those three. Right? So, I mean, grew up, graduated from all three schools. I went to Fairfax for a little bit, and just found my way into real estate after an endless, probably 18 or so different jobs. In sales and fast food and movie theaters, and somehow ended up kind of doing full circle. My first job was Home Depot, and then real estate just came kind of later, and 22, 23. By the time I was 23, I got into real estate, and haven't looked back ever since. It's been I guess 15 years now.
15 years?
Yeah, 15 years in the business.
I'm curious, would you find for people of color in entering real estate, particularly being somewhat of a legacy from your grandma, had you found camaraderie with some of your partners who were interested in real estate, or as far as going into it as a career, once you found an appreciation for it?
Yeah, I mean, the color of real estate is green. So if you like that color, I think we all kind of put our hands together and we work on anything that comes on our table. It's, there's in the past, obviously there was, the redlining and all the racial things going on in the past. And I think this is a new era of time when, it's all laid out for you. And it's a kind of career path that if you want it, you can get it. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
What was pivotal for you that brought you into that trajectory?
Well, obviously the green, I actually had a son in 2010. So
congratulations.
2010, I was 21, 22. I was working at a Kia dealership, and I found out my girl at the time was pregnant, and I literally was on a Saturday or something in the morning, and I was working, and I just said, man, I can't see myself working on Saturdays if I have a son on the, he's going to have basketball games and soccer games, and I need to do something where at least I can choose to not come into the office on Saturday, because this job I can't do that. So I really kind of crunched some numbers and tried to figure out the math on how many houses I need to sell to supplement what I make at the dealership, and it looked good, so I just jumped on it and I went literally full throttle. I just went to the agency that I wanted to sign with, which was Shorewood Realtors at the time. It was probably the biggest in the South Bay, independently owned, and I told them to hire me. I told them that I needed to get in there and learn how to do this, and they did.
You told them to hire you. That was because of your confidence level as far as.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about sales is that if you want a sales job, you can get a sales job anywhere. Anybody will hire a sales guy, but you have to prove your worth. You have to prove that you're worth, um, staying on board. And I think Shorewood had a really good training program that doesn't even exist to this day in any other companies, where we had to go through an academy just like the police, and we learned every day from 9 in the morning to 5 at night for free how to do real estate. And that
For
had
free.
yeah, we didn't get paid to, most jobs you on board and you get 90 days of paid sitting there, but no, you have to come from every day, and it's from 9 to 5, and you have to sit there and listen to what the training is so that you understand how to do the job, because it's a big job helping somebody, sell their assets and move somewhere else, or so there's a lot of different moving parts. And our training was about 30 days of free labor that you have to give and sit and watch people talk, and you come out of that with a new understanding of how to actually launch your career in real estate. So I've implemented that same training into my company, and I think that was probably the biggest backbone. Just going with the right company, going with the people who are going to teach you unbiased how to get this done, and how to get your goals accomplished.
For someone that's first starting out in the same way that you did, what would you say are some of the characteristics on finding the right people to guide you in this particular career? What are
That's a
some of those
great,
traits?
great question. So there's 1,000 people talking at the same time in real estate at all times, so it's really hard to guide. People say, I hear people say, oh, I do real estate. Well, doing real estate is a lot of different things. There's mortgages, there's escrow, there's financing, there's all different types of aspects. There's flipping and wholesaling. Who do you listen to? So um, for me, I kind of went within to figure out. I sold cars for a while, and it was really nice feeling when the guy buys the car and they agree, and they you wash it up, and then they get to go home with the car. So I really kind of like the retail aspect of selling cars. So I just took that same thing that I'm going into real estate to help people get something done. So in that mindset, you're going to be a realtor. You're going to be somebody who's going to work every day to find people to help buy and sell real estate. And if that's what you want to do, then you're going to be a realtor. You're going to get your license. You're going to get signed up with the local board, and you're going to go that route. Like a wholesaler is somebody who kind of wants to cut in between the person that wants to do something, and it's kind of a little bit choppier of a job. Or a lender is somebody that just helps with the finances. They don't even see the house. They just do the numbers. So I'm not really a huge. I've become a numbers guy, but in the beginning I wasn't really a numbers guy. So it was more of the retail aspect. If you want to get into retail sales, the biggest level you can get into, then it's really real estate sales.
And may I delve deeper into that? When you say you're not really a numbers guy, is that due to being more of a creative?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've always had the mindset of I want to be in creative charge of what I'm doing, and hence the reason I work for myself. Because just having that, like last week, I shut the shop down for 2 weeks and I went to the Philippines because that's just what I wanted to do that 2 weeks. I always like to be able to um, control my destiny, and I think whether you like numbers or not, you can learn them. and you can learn the specific numbers. Real estate has very specific numbers that you should know, and you can learn those. So you don't really have to be a numbers guy to learn a few things, and that's kind of how I went about that.
If going into choosing your own destiny, is it more about your passion, or do you find yourself following a trail behind those who part of your community that has helped rear you? Is it finding your passion or following a trail that was laid before?
I'd say there's both, because I think the most important thing in the world is having a mentor. I couldn't even breathe an air into what I was trying to do unless I had somebody to, look at as an example. So early on, when I signed up with this company, I knew that they had everybody in there that I could learn from, but there was a particular guy that stood out, and he, to this day, he's my mentor. I sat next to him in the office for 8 or 9 years and just bugged him every day, asked him questions, saw he, very transparent, showed me what he does every day to get back home to his family at 5 o'clock and still make, a really nice income. And I mean, once you understand that somebody's already forged the path, it really kind of makes it a lot easier for you to just kind of, replicate or duplicate those systems that they have in place.
So some of his characteristics, you would say he was very transparent. Would you say also you had an intuitive sense of trust, or seeing him on his grind that helped you to say, this is the type of person I know would be a good match to mentor me?
Yeah, I think people get lessons from people, and then they go in one ear and come out the other. But I think it's just me listening and me just paying attention. The story goes that I was in the office after the car job. I was doing both at the when I started. I had the car job, and I'd work from 9 to 9. But my real estate office gave me a key to the office, so I had my own office. I can go in whenever I wanted. I had a cubicle in the office, and I could just go in and turn on the lights at 9 p.m. if I wanted to, and get on my computer and work away. So I was doing that one night, full suit, coming off the job, and a guy walked in, and he was just doing some printing. His name's Aaron, and he said, "What the hell are you doing? It's 11 o'clock at night. You're in the suit, the real estate office. What's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just, this is the only time I got. I'm just here to try to, take some classes, trying to learn something before I go back home." And I guess he thought that was awesome. So we just struck up a conversation, and he happened to be just going into business himself. And he, for the past 10 years, had been working with the number one agent in our company. And I was like, wow, this is a nice coincidence. He, top of the line. I mean, a guy that sells $100 million in real estate every year, he just branched off from him to start his own. And I'm happened to be running into him at the office at 11 o'clock. So it was kind of a fate thing as well. Because I listened to everything he told me. And I mean, I knew he was, not all talk, because I can see the results. I can see the sales boards. I can see his name on there every week. So it was just kind of something that you got to pay attention to. And everything he said was gold. And I just kept writing it down. I moved my cubicle from where I was sitting to where he was sitting on the other side of the office. And the rest is, I guess, history.
Fantastic. So if I may, what I gleaned from that is some of the areas you found where you found a mentor of support was the transparency. You saw him in action. You saw his passion and drive for it, and his commitment. Those are some of the traits I'd imagine we would give advice to those who are choosing to follow in those footsteps and finding a mentor. Those would be some of the character traits they would look for as well to find good support.
Yeah. And they probably should be older, to be honest. I mean, the older guys know a little bit more. I think we're moving into this weird era where the hard work doesn't really exist anymore. Everything's kind of got AI and things.
Oh, yeah.
You just type in something and it pops up. But, in the 60s and 70s, people just kind of worked, and they just worked all day.
I agree.
And that was a different time. And I think you need a little of that, which is called hard work, to make anything work. So I think when you see that, you'll know it, because it can't fail. It's recession proof. it never has a really down market. There might be some bad times, but typically they're doing a lot better than everybody else.
Would you say you've taken this into some of your leadership style as far as how you conduct your business, some of those same thoughts? And if you would go into that a little bit, examining your leadership style.
Ooh, that's an interesting one because, the transition from uh, real estate agent every day, just kind of punching in and doing, prospecting and getting on the phones and calling people and following up. That's different than, the adult daycare we call like leadership, because you have to. It's just a whole different mindset. I've been, to be honest, I'm a student of leadership. Um,
I like that. I like that term, a student of leadership.
Yes, I wouldn't say that I've mastered selling real estate. I think I've done a lot of that. I've made a lot of money doing that, helping a lot of people. As far as leadership, the traits kind of have to be reworked, because you don't do the same things working as you do as a leader. I mean, you still have to do your work, and you also have to have empathy for the people who are coming up behind you, and partial having empathy, but partial also being very honest about people's work ethics and how they're going to make it. If a lot of the times people's complaints, the reason why they can't do what we do is because they have a job, but the reason why they need to quit the job is so they can do what we need to do. And it's hard to explain that to people because, my bills come up, or, I mean, everybody has bills, but if your bills are more important than the work you're trying to take on, it's really going to hard for you to take on that work, and you're going to kind of, a lot of people go to the road that's easiest versus the hardest. And this is probably, I think real estate sales is the hardest high paying job, and it's the easiest low paying job.
You mentioned something that I think is a big part of that, if you don't mind elaborating also. You mentioned honesty. And I know, considering today's times, as turbulent as they might be, and a number of the great progressive and productive moves we made, there seems to be a lack of faith that I've noticed in some of my contemporaries, I'm sure you have, where there's a distrust because a number of people feel everyone is not being honest. And so I found that in my work and the people that I'm in admiration of, honesty and integrity are two words that still mean a great deal and hold a great deal of value to them. So in particular in real estate, in trying to get sales, I'd imagine in trying to make the bottom line and close the deal, that would be one of those principles you'd have to learn how to navigate. How does honesty and integrity come into your profession where you hold that as a value true?
Oh, that's number one. Only you can only be successful if you have integrity, because integrity isn't really, it's not even all about helping others. It's really about what you tell yourself. If I tell myself my schedule's 9 to 5, and I have to do calls for 3 hours and then take a lunch for 30 minutes, and then I have to, integrity is following that schedule. That's number one. So if
Absolutely.
I can't even, a lot of the times that people don't show up for themselves, they don't have integrity. That relates into everything. So, I mean, it's just like going to the gym. If you want to get in shape, you got to get there, and you have to make that schedule that says you're going to go and follow the schedule. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things about being successful in real estate is you need integrity within yourself first, and then that will translate to your clients. Because, I mean, it's really easy if somebody wants to pay you $30,000 to come out and list their home for sale, but it's, you have to go to work for the 180 days before that every day to maybe have gotten that prospect. And people don't put those two together. And I think that's the essential element, integrity. You have to have integrity.
And putting those two together, that's integrity and honesty, or was there a different one?
Integrity and honesty, and then I'd also say accountability. That's what
accountability.
It's having that my word is what I say, and this is what I did. And this is how I got the results too, because the results come after, for me, I could say I made $500,000 in a year, but really it's how many clients that I helped. Because if I didn't help anybody, I'm not making any money. So all those clients have to be helped. The deals have to be closed. I have to send them their check, and then I could say the money is just a product of helping people. And my job.
Now, in your job, yeah, I'm very curious. If a young person of about 19 years old approached you and said, I'm interested in real estate, what would you tell them the two things, the worst and the best things about real estate before they get into it?
So, okay. And I'm speaking specifically of being a real estate agent, real estate broker. Um, the best thing is being able to be there for the family, being able to, in every way. My kids love Disneyland. I think we've spoiled them ridiculously. We've been to Disneyland more times than I can even count. Vacations, time spent is probably the biggest reward for me. Like I said, I came in knowing that you have to be a business owner to have your own schedule anyway. So that kind of philosophy is what's carried me there. But I always wanted to just be able to, like, pick up my kids from school. Oh, it's 2:30. I can go get my kids now. All right, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to go fishing with my buddies in town. I can go. It's just having that freedom eventually, because in the beginning it's more grind, it's more work. It's not going to start like that at all. So I think that's the best part. The worst part is
and I guess, if you don't mind, we can, instead of saying the worst part, maybe considering nowadays and us trying to be unstoppable, the most challenging part.
yeah. Okay. So the challenging part, I think, is, the statistics and the odds are against you. And knowing that, I think I'm just a natural fighter. So I'm going to go against the grain anyway. But no, you have to know that the odds are against you. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. This is very true. Most real estate agents, most newly licensed, like you went and did the school, you got your license, 18 months, you're broke and you're out of the business. That's the normal thing. That's about 90%. I think I went to a class when I first started our academy, 2010. We had 40 people in our class. To this day, there's 2 of us that are still in the business. Out of that whole 40 class group, there's 2. There's me and another girl at Remax. That's it. And I think that just shows, and I think every class was probably like that. They might have had 1 or 2 that survived out of 40. I mean, that's a lot of people that are no longer in the business, have never sold a house, and it's been 10 years. So, like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're teachers. I don't know where they went after that, but it's a tough business to understand. And I think, so I guess that would be the biggest challenge, but any challenge
sticking with it.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Your resiliency is going to definitely show, because, you get clients that'll run you around town and you show them all these houses and then they didn't buy anything after 3 months and you use all your gas, and how are you going to pay the bills? That stuff does come up. But, I think with the systems that I was able to learn through my mentors, we found a way that, we generate business. We don't tolerate the business that we have. So
I like that. Generate.
Yeah. So when we go to work every day, our goal is to generate business, generate new clients, instead of just kind of waiting for things to happen to us. We go and we're calling people. I call all my friends, know that I call them. And nobody really calls anymore. They just text, or they kind of leave something on your door. Yeah. So I think being the person who's always making the calls, we're going to be the person that's always selling the houses.
Makes good sense. Would you say that's a big piece of it, that personal touch as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because selling real estate, at the car dealership, I'd have to hang out at the car dealership to sell the cars. I'd have to go to work, hang out with the cars, and then the people come. Well, selling homes, you got to hang out in the neighborhoods. You have to talk to all these people that live right around the corner from you, because they're all different families going through different things. And the person who's talking to all of them, you know, most people don't want to move out of their house, but 2% of people do. So I got to find that 2% every day. And that's been the attitude since I started.
Since you started, and since you started, looking back, what do you think you might have done differently, if at all?
Okay, so I'm hard headed. I'm very, very hard headed.
Is that just something our parents used to tell us, or that's what we come to acknowledge when we're grown ups?
I realize I am very hard headed, and so in the beginning, there was a lot of people approaching me, and within the company, the number one guy, he came to me and said, "Hey, you should probably come over with us. I mean, we're not doing that bad." And I kind of, naivety led me to just want to do it on my own. I don't want to go and take your less money and work with you and make your company bigger. I want to do it on my own. So, I mean, that first 5 years was a struggle because I chose to do it on my own. It was the first 10 years was a struggle because I chose to do it on my own versus, I could go to he already has listings for 2, 3, 4, 5 million. I could go sit his open houses and sell 1 or 2 of his houses and probably have learned more and have gained more momentum, right? Because I would have been thrown into these big deals. Every deal that I got in the beginning, I had to scrape and claw to, make sure they chose me, the new guy, versus the guy who's been given postcards in the neighborhood for 30 years. So the challenges were just a little bit different. But I probably would have joined a team earlier. And then,
Okay.
You build with the team, and like what my mentor did, just, when you're ready to go off on your own, you go off on your own. It doesn't hurt to be working with a great person who's already proven a path, So I would say that's what I probably would have done different.
So looking back, that's what you would have done differently.
Yeah.
And if you were starting today, having learned what you've learned then, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would tell him to join the team. I would tell him to join the team and get committed to the coaching, because I think we love to just do our own thing. I mean, I'm a Leo. I'm like the most I could be by myself every day and it wouldn't bug me. But a lot of people, they need that kind of team effort, that group motivation. And I was not like that. But I didn't see that. That wasn't a that wasn't a flaw. I think it was, what actually kept me resilient through the whole process. But I think I definitely would have probably said to join the team and get into coaching sooner. There was always these excuses. I would go to the events and I would say, I don't have the money. But everybody who scraped the money together has way more money now than they did than the people that just made the excuses not to show up, because it's really just a mental break. Are you gonna say you don't have the money, or are you gonna figure out how to come up with it? And and are you gonna dive into the water, or are you just gonna play 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Because if you're in the water, you're swimming all the time, and if you're out of the water, you're maybe reading a book about it, sleeping about it. And I think that intensity from early on, it shows. That's how real estate, that's how any business grows. You do a lot of work, intense work up front, and then you're taken care of for the rest of your life because of some of the stuff that you were doing. You plant the seeds, and you got a lot of trees after a while.
But in part, would you say long-term planning for when we get in our 60s and so forth, a good deal of that real estate is one of the better investments? Is that something you'd say off the cuff?
Oh, 100%. Well, one, I love stocks and I love everything that you can make money off of. But I mean, a house, you can live in a house, so you have a roof over your head. So there's this forever benefit that you don't have to be outside in the rain, and you have an investment that's growing while you sleep in it. Equity is some of the biggest things talked about in other businesses. Everybody wants to own their masters when they do music, and everybody wants, but owning the land that you live on, or even if you could own the land that you work, like McDonald's, if you can just own the parking lot that you put this building in, I mean, there's really nothing that's proven better than that investment. And I think that's why I'm here too. There's just nothing else that is that solid that nobody can take from you, and that grows over the time that it grows. I mean, properties that were bought in the 40s, 50s, and 60s are now worth, I don't know how many times over the amounts that they paid for them. And so, and that they don't make any more of it. It's not coming back. If it comes back, it'll come back at a higher price. It's been the sweetest thing I've ever bought. I would say that.
And so 20 years from now, where do you see your company going? Where do you see your company at, ideally?
That's a good question. So I just did some reflecting on that on my last trip, because I kind of do that. I just leave the country because I want to go and get some inspiration from somewhere else, and then come back with a new eye set. So in 20 years, I think that, so my vision for this company is to, I didn't want to just have a real estate company like Remax or some the other big companies out there. I really wanted to do it smart. So the business plan that I have is to buy multifamily properties, and now that you can kind of set up junior ADUs or ADUs in the backyards or in the garages, to set up an actual office at the properties. So it's kind of now a mixed use. And yeah, so we own the properties in the front, they pay us the rent, and then in the back we have our real estate operation, and they're in the neighborhoods that you and I live in. So
I dig that.
Yeah, instead of having to go to those big companies with the 1,000 real estate agents who 90% of them don't know what they're doing, we want to just have a boutique operation, and it'll be coming to a hood near you. And we will be in every neighborhood with one of our properties and one of our offices, and it's kind of like a speakeasy, if you will. We're in the back,
wow.
We're in the back working, and when you look at it, it's just like a regular duplex that you would see on any street, but in the back there's 5 or 6 hard-working real estate agents that can help you out.
And some of my quick fire questions: what is the number one thing you enjoy about your profession in particular? Is it the close of the sale? Is it just meeting the families, or is it a spiritual component? Is it just one thing, or is it a combination?
Oh, it's a combination, because yes, the pay is great. The pay is great when you're doing good work for people. That's just a general thing. But I think the biggest thing is, for me, is like, a lot of the times you have to talk people into buying houses, because they're in an apartment, they're paying this low payment, and it's really not bad for them. They have a little extra money right now, so they're thinking about this purchase. And to kind of be the therapist between the husband and wife, or between whoever the family is I'm dealing with, to kind of basically unbutton the shirts and just have regular conversations that make sense. If you're staying in an apartment for 10 years and you own a house for 10 years, the house could double in price after you purchase it, and you leave your apartment with hopefully your security deposit. So that equity piece, that will help a family grow into $1 million house later on, or a better school district for their kids. That I'm part of that. I'm part of that story, because a lot of the times I have clients that thank me every day, and we wouldn't even have our house if it wasn't for you. And I mean, when you hear that and see that their kids are growing up and they're going to be able to go to good schools because they bought into that district when everybody thought it was bad or when everybody was leaving the area. That's the stuff that I think I do it for. I mean, there's not enough money that could pay for the satisfaction of helping a person set their life up. I think once if you're an owner, if you own a house, particularly in Los Angeles, that's why we call ourselves, the world's best real estate. Because if you own a house in Los Angeles, it's a special place that not many people can do it. Our average price point now is about $1 million for a house in LA. I mean, it's growing. It's getting there. If it's not at $1 million, it's close to $1 million right now. And I mean, if you bought it in 2011, it was $250. So, we're just helping people see the wave. Everybody's going to come here. The weather's great. I mean, I think location has a big deal to do with what real estate is, and we just happen to be in the best coast, I think, in the world, to be honest.
So Southern California still is prime real estate, you'd say, as far as in our country, in the United States, it's still one of the better places?
New York is cold. Texas is hot. California is perfect.
Hey, we get good summers, my friend. We get good summers.
No, you do get good little time. But I mean, for the overall, the weather, the city life, the proximity to mountains and beaches and state parks, Hawaii over there and Catalina over here. I mean, there's just so many benefits. I mean, to me, and I might be biased. I was born and raised in the same house for my entire life. So I might be a little biased, but I have seen changes happen, and all of them have been good. So I think you just kind of have to go with what you know. And I'm betting on real estate 100%.
Oh, I dig that.
Yeah.
Tell me, with regards to your passion for real estate, what are some of your extracurricular hobbies that you enjoy, and how does that plan and work into your lifestyle?
Oh, good. So I just, the reason I went to the Philippines, I'm a diver. I actually just got licensed to do deep water.
Oh, wow.
Open water diving. So I'm PADI certified. So I went to the Philippines. I just went swimming with whale sharks, and
incredible.
Surreal experience. It's like 20-foot long sharks, and I'm just swimming next to them. So I do that. I try to travel around and dive whenever I can.
The Philippines is such an interesting place, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yeah. So when my business partners, her family, and doing real estate, you meet a lot of cool people. One of my good friends, their parents have owned a Filipino restaurant, for about 26 years in LA. I think it's about 26 years. And I mean, again, a mentor. This guy's immigrant from the Philippines and moved here and created a very, very popular Filipino restaurant. I didn't even know about Filipino food until I ate there.
It's so good.
This is kind of good. I mean, the So they got some different foods, but generally it's really good food. And so they told me that they go out there once a year just to have like a family gathering, and I'm like, if you guys go, let me know. I'm just gonna tag along, because they got whale sharks out there, and I wanna get to know the culture, and just kind of, and luck have it, after the pandemic and everything, they decided to go and shut the restaurant down for a few weeks so the whole family could go. And then I got my ticket and just met them out there, and we had a whole great 2 weeks of just culture and family gatherings, and I got to go dive with the whale sharks. So I got that off my bucket list. I mean, it's just a great experience. And then I like to take these trips too, to kind of, I think when I see things I've never saw, then I come back, and then I'm just better at what I'm doing, because I have just another angle to look at things from, As bad as it can be in LA, when you're in the Philippines and it's bad, it's a different bad.
Mm.
So you come back. I feel blessed. I mean, I get to come back and I have a house. It's not like tin roof and the hurricanes won't come sweep us away. I mean, you just think about things differently, and the blessed position that you're in. And I think that's what kind of keeps me going too. Just being able to do these kind of things at my own leisure. I don't have to go out there and work on anything, put everything down, and just kind of embrace the culture that is in front of me.
Would you say that you're a spiritual person? You mentioned being blessed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I grew up First AME Church, right actually down the street from the place that I'm at, and then also my mom would bring me to this church called Agape when I was all through my life. So I kind of got, I would say, the best of both worlds. Agape is a non-denominational uh, church led by, I forget his name, but
I went to an agape years ago. Michael
yeah,
Datcher, not Michael Datcher. I forget his name. He
Mike.
had, and
That's it.
yes, yes. I went
Yep.
there years ago. It was a beautiful experience. I got to tell you.
Yeah. So that is the church that I grew up in, and also First AME. So I think I got the whole, First AME was there when the riots happened in LA, and they helped gather our people and turn up for our city for those wrongful um, convictions back in the day when Rodney King got beat. And then Agape is, it literally means love, and it literally is just a church based on love, which you can't really
Go wrong with that.
you can't really beat that. Michael Bernard Beckwith, I think
That's it. That's it. He had a great singer, Gina Renee, that used to sing some years ago, about 18 years ago, and she was part of there, and she helped me to come there. And like I said, it was an incredible experience, warmth and loving, and deeply spiritual and motivating.
Yeah.
I'm
Now
glad
imagine going there as a kid, like from 11.
Absolutely.
So that, I mean, I think a lot of people that you meet, especially even in LA, are just in successful places in their life. They've probably been to Agape before.
Oh yeah. I found the community there. It's like I said, they were so warm and friendly for years. I brought my younger son there a few times just because the community was so welcoming. At that time, we were living in LA, but I don't forget that experience. It was absolutely the most beautiful experience of a spiritual temple where I went to.
Yeah.
With that in mind, tell me your favorite food.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say tacos, man. I love.
Isn't that in California?
Yeah, I was in the Philippines, and I mean the food is pretty good. I mean their barbecue. There's a lot, but I came back and I wanted some tacos. That's all I could think about with the avocados and the salsa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then the least of your favorite of your foods that you enjoy.
Woo. That I mean I don't enjoy them. I mean, but I saw some pretty weird stuff in the Philippines. I would say they had some like chicken intestines on a stick.
Oh.
And some, balut. I just recently had to try that because that's
the egg thing.
That's the egg thing with the chicken side.
Oh
yeah. So, well, I mean, in the Philippines, this is something that they just have readily available for you for like 60 cents. And apparently that's just, I mean, they don't eat that, but I think it's a game that they play on the tourists. When you come to town, they show you how to eat it, and they let you try it, and it's not that bad actually. But
I've seen people gag. That's what pushes me away. I've seen people gag.
Yeah, I ate it. It's not that bad. I tell you, it tastes like an egg with like some chicken broth on it. That's literally what it tastes like. But like it's not a bad taste. But when you look at it, it's like, what is this? What am I?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Favorite musical artist, just right off the top of your head. If you had to say, this is the first person I go to that I enjoy.
Oh man, I'm gonna say Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah. Can't go wrong.
That was the first cassette tape I ever had, Michael Jackson. And yeah, you can't go wrong when you put Michael Jackson on.
Oh no, I find it hard to go wrong with Michael. I find it very hard to go wrong with Michael.
Yeah.
And then favorite piece of advice that stuck with you.
Oh man, I put this on my email to this day, and I just love the quote. Whether you think you can or you can't, you are right.
Mm. I love that quote. I'm very familiar with that as well, but
Yeah,
very much so.
I just
Uh,
that's it.
oh yeah, it's actually it's one. It's I think the simplicity of it sometimes outshines the weightiness of what it really means.
Right, right, for sure.
What I find that sometimes the most simplest of those adages are the most meaningful. I truly believe that.
Hmm. Yep.
And the Philippines, I'm so glad you returned safely. I have to tell you, I know that you did have an appointment. I want to thank you. Oh, you know what I forgot? Please describe to me, and I forgot to say this, the beginning of the name of your company. Where did that come from?
Alexander Lux Properties. Alexander is my middle name. And actually, so I'm a serial entrepreneur, I guess. The first company that I started when I was at my mom's house, I was living with my mom, and I was actually selling handbags on eBay. So I
Oh,
was
there you
buying handbags from China and then just selling them on eBay, and people would send me checks to my mom's house. I was like 16, and
go. Oh,
I'm just
wow.
like getting $300, $400 checks. And then I liked furniture. So furniture was, I was like, this is going to be it. I'm going to design and make furniture. And I created Alexander Lux Furniture. And that was a really great little endeavor. I had a little business partner. We'd buy these chairs from China, and we had plans to go out there and buy more stuff. But, furniture was very tough because it's big, bulky. I'm living at my mom's house. Our backyard is full of chairs, and she's like, "Oh no, this isn't gonna work." And there were some things. We sent some chairs out. They got broken in transit, so it was just a hard job and everything was really expensive. The chairs were way more than the purses. So when that business finally failed, or we just stopped doing it, I was at the car dealership, and I thought, Alexander Lux Properties will someday come back. And in 2014, that's when I started that.
Oh, very cool. So
Hmm.
somewhat of a legacy for your youth, your children.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I must say, one of the elements that Makerspar is trying to do, and it's as I mentioned earlier, on creating 1 million leaders. Where do you see yourself fitting in that particular vision, as far as uh, birthing new leaders to follow after you, or young people that are coming up after you, or maybe not even just young people, but contemporaries who are of your age, and creating new leadership? I think that there's somewhat of a dearth of leadership. And as the goal states in creating those leaders, we're looking to uh, demonstrate more independence in not only people color and their communities, but leaders who really have a direction and purpose for themselves. And that's what MakersBar is trying to do. How would you find yourself looking to assist and support in creating new leadership?
Oh, in any way possible, because I think it's so rare these days that people just want to go out on their own and do stuff. Um, like you said, I think there is a bit of a lag in leadership these days, because I just call it scared. I mean, a lot of people are scared, and they're not educated enough to understand that a company is literally just a filing. You literally walk into an office and say, "I want this to be my company." It's not a hard thing to create; it's a hard thing to sustain and make.
Oh my goodness,
So
how deep is that? Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So now that we're coming of information, we got to get the information quicker and just understand, create, and then do something every day to get that going. So I mean, any way possible that I can help other people see that it's possible, I want to show up for that, because I'm rooting for everybody, and I'm definitely rooting for everybody black, because
Oh,
we need the help. We need the help, and there's just not enough people to help. There's a few voices and not enough people showing up for class.
Amir, I can't tell you how valuable it is that you said that, in particular to me, having worked with young black men and young black women, as a matter of fact. And I'd be very interested in your thoughts. If we were, you and I, having had this portion of our lives and careers. What is or better yet, my dad was one of those men who did the 12 miles I walked to school on a bowl of oatmeal. And in that, he instilled to me that learn from, teach some. And a big portion of that has been in young Black youth, young Black male youth in particular. I find that it's extremely important information that I get, I use to share, because I want other men to have that same input that I have with my father himself. How would you, or what would you say to some of our young men of color who are feeling somewhat lost and looking for some, let's say, some guidance or a piece of useful advice in continuing the struggle, continuing to persist? What would you say? What would be your strongest piece of advice to them?
Oh man, that's easy. Get the passport and go somewhere. Go somewhere as far as you
passport, as far as travel, just so we clarify.
Yeah, travel and understand that your skin tone is actually a blessing. It's actually
I love that.
When I went to Dubai, and I just went out there on a vacation, and I bought the robe that they wear and people tried to take pictures with me. People lined up to just come and, hey, can we just get a moment to just be in your presence and take a picture with you, because you're royalty. You really are.
Wow.
And here, I don't know how we got lost in that we're not, or that
we're not, my goodness, Amir.
Able. But when you go to another place and you see how they treat you, and when you just understand who you are better, then you can do anything. And especially business is not dangerous. It's mainly just, hard work. So, I mean, people kind of clock out when they hear that, but yeah, if you can manage hard work and you understand who you are, then anything is possible.
Amir, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Those particular words, for sure. I will utilize that myself, because I do find, in particular in today's young Black men, there's a fascination with easy money and less with hard work. Yet we often hear about being on the grind. So I appreciate that extremely much. I want to thank you, Amir, for being with us today so much. Alexander Lux Properties. Amir, I'd love for us to stay in contact and do a follow-up sometime in the future. I'd like to hear more about some of the advocacies that you're doing and the further success of your business. Yeah. Are there any closing words you'd like to leave us with today?
Just take care. I mean, I think I'm here to help. So I like to be an open book. You can reach out on the website, alexanderluxproperties.com, or you can text me on my cell phone, which is the number is located on the site. I think you just have to know that there are people that will help you, but you have to show up. And I tell that to my students that come in here and they want to learn what we're doing. You have to show up. That's the number one thing. I mean, I've done so many deals because I showed up on the rainy days. I showed up on the days when the door was locked, and you just have to put your key in there and turn, because nobody turned the lights on yet. Those are the times that count, and the times that not everybody can see, and they're not the flashy times, but a lot of the stuff that you do in the dark will come to the light if you choose to work.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I really do. I like to, again, thank you, Amir, very much. And I'm looking forward to keeping in contact with you. On behalf of Maker Spars and its interviews, this is Seth Baxter, today here with Amir Alexander Shain and Lux Properties. We are looking forward to keeping in contact with him. Please do reach out to his site. Go with love and peace and grace, good people. We will talk to you again from Maker Spar. Amir, thank you so much, my good man. I look forward to speaking with you again. Take good care.
You too.